Having given all the, shuhada, he's gone through the toughest part. You think he really looks for a drink of water at that moment? He drinks or he doesn't really matter. But why do we find in Riwayat that Imam is asking, can you give me water? Well, he still knows the children are still thirsty. None of them were able to satiate. Then why would Imam even be looking for water? Imam over here is still trying to give an opportunity to the enemy to correct the means, correct the ways that they've been doing, and by which they will find salvation and najat. Imam is trying his best. When he speaks to these people, he doesn't have to, but he still does for itmam hujjat. So that tomorrow nobody says, oh, Hussein did not tell us. It was Hussein, we did not know. Imam comes, stands in front of them. Everybody knows who he is. Yet so that nobody tomorrow complains in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we did not know who was there. So all of these are what? Means that Imam is trying to protect people. And therefore, Imam is at that highest level of irfan. Urafa are their khilqat or their akhlaq rather. Arif is someone who's willing to, if the dua of an arif is such that if I am to be sent to Jahannam, for example, if I am to be sent to Jahannam, the arif, the mystic will make this dua. Oh Allah, make my wujud so big that no one else comes to this Jahannam. Meaning what? Only I suffer. No one else should suffer. Make my wujud so big, humongous, that there's no room for anyone else to come here. I want salvation for everyone else. I want najat for everyone else. Imam knows that shahadat is something which has been given to protect and predicted for him 50 years ago by Rasulullah. He showed him, he mentioned it to him, everybody knows about it. Here Imam is trying to do what? Trying to see if he can salvage these people, bring them out of the utter ignorance that they were living in. So Imam Hussein fits the description perfectly from the time of his wiladat, from the time to the time of his shahadat. And as we read in Ziyarat Ashura, Allahumma rzuqni shafa'at al-Hussein yawm al-wurud. So when he was born, he was means of blessing. When his shahadat takes place, he's means of blessing. And even yawm al-wurud, he's what? Means of blessings for everyone. If Imam complained of thirst on Ashura and demanded water, it wasn't to quench his thirst. How could he? When he's telling Ali Akbar to have patience. When he's telling others that, your Jad will provide water, Saqi Qawsar will provide water to you. When he's giving patience to others, why would Imam be asking? If Abbas doesn't sip even though he had all of Furat in his control, does not quench his thirst, you think Imam is asking for this? In kunta la budda min qatli fasqini shurbatan min al-ma. Imam was looking to give nijat. He was only looking after these people to go ahead and provide some sort of salvation for them. Here's a question that arises. I'm sure these questions arise more so in the time of Muharram. As soon as the Yam Azah come, right away you'll find these people giving tabsara, giving their opinions about various things that have happened and taken place in Karbala. Why did Imam Hussein bring his family to Karbala? It's one of the questions which people ask. And in fact, it wasn't a question now, it was a question even when Imam was leaving with his family. You know how many people try to convince Imam otherwise? And when Imam was, adamant about leaving, they try to say, well, go yourself, leave your family behind. Why are you taking the weak family members, the women and the children for that matter, along with you? So one of the pertinent questions which is commonly raised is that when Imam knew about his martyrdom and the captivity of Ahlul Bayt, that is another question on top of it. Does that make things easy for someone who knows that he's about to enter into a battle where he will attain shahadat? Or, let me give you another example. When Amir al-Mu'mineen is told by Rasulullah on the night of Hijrat, you sleep on my bed and take these amanat, return it back to the people, and bring the fawatim, the ladies that are left behind, bring them back, bring them to the place that we will meet. What do you understand from the kalam of Rasulullah? That you will definitely meet me. He's guaranteeing that you will survive sleeping on my bed, although you'll be surrounded by the swords. You will be able to return the amanat without any, difficulty or any sort of obstacle. You will bring all the ladies that have left behind. You'll bring them safely and soundly, and you'll meet me at that place where we have, assumed already. So Imam Ali should sleep nicely without having any worries, because kalam of Rasulullah, he's telling him, this will happen. 4 days later, 1 week later, you'll come and meet me. So yeah, I'll go through all the troubles. Imam knows that he's not going to be killed under the swords. Does that make things easy for him? I mean, if I know that, yes, there's this difficult patch that is facing me for the next 3 days, but I've been guaranteed that the 4th day everything will be fine, I'm willing to go through the difficulty, right? So how does that make any difference? Does that mean the challenge is any less? Well, if anything, it makes it difficult, because having knowledge about something is also makes things matters worse. And number two, when Masumeen have this knowledge, or they're given this knowledge about something that will happen and they know about it, it's the sincerity and the khulus that counts over there. That they're willing to go through it with all of the sincerity. Had that knowledge been there or that knowledge was not there. It's the khulus of Imam and the sincerity of Imam, that is shamil hal. Not so much what the things will happen, will they make things easier for him, or will that make things difficult for him? So coming back to our question, Imam Hussein knew about his martyrdom and the captivity of Ahl Bayt, then isn't it easier for him to let them go into captivity? They'll be battered around, they'll be paraded different places without their hijab and undermining all of those things, and the children will be beaten up. It's easier to just leave them behind. So these are some of the questions that people raise. So we have a few answers for that. Number one, it was a custom of Arabs. Look up in the history. Now we'll start with the questions which might be where someone can actually raise a point back and question back again. But we'll get to eventually the final answer which will satisfy. It was a custom of Arabs to bring their wives and children and family members even when they went to war, let alone travels. So other travels, you find in the history of Arabs that they traveled together and they brought all the family. One of the reasons was they feel that they're more secure with me than they will be behind me, because of the mu'ashara and the society that they were living in, that there's lack of any civility, there's lack of any protection. It is better that what happens to my family is with me. Peace of mind is there. Otherwise having the worry that I've left them behind and now what's happening to them. Ishkal. This cannot be the reason why Imam brought his family. Because does he really need to follow the traditions of Arabs? Does he really need to follow the culture of the Arabs at that time? Another question can be raised. Why would Arabs bring their families to war? Did Imam follow the customs of Arabs and the common folks? That too, Arab-e-Jahili, the Bedouins from pre-Islamic era. When we know that he bid farewell to his family under God's providence, this is Masjid-e-Ali, and that's what I leave you behind. Number two, so that question could be that why would Imam do ta'assi and follow the seerat of those who are not hujjat upon him? Why would he even follow their hujjat? So that could be brushed aside. Number two, Imam brought his family in order to awaken the people, as his rise has two segments. Hadith Ishq, do babas, Karbala wa Dimashq. Yeki Hussein rakam kar, digari Zainab. So this hadith, this concept, this discussion, this history has two sections. One was written by Imam Hussein, the other was written by Bibi Zainab, Salamullahi alayha, salawat biji Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So the two segments are, one is established by the shahadat of Imam Hussein, and the second is established after the shahadat of Imam Hussein. Yazid had hoped that by killing Imam Hussein and introducing him as a rebel, that this was a rebel who stood up against a genuine government, as unfortunately still people think, he will be able to strengthen his rule. But the inspiring sermons of fourth Imam, Bibi Zainab, Kulthum, exposed Yazid's corrupt intentions, helped bring his reign to an end. So that's, one very logical response as to why Imam brought his family along, so that the discussion will continue. Imam's shahadat will not end there. Rather, the discussion will be taken forward by such family members. There's a shkal and there's a criticism to this answer as well. While this is a very logical answer, but it still raises a point that for aftermath of Ashura, it seems Imam only needed a few women, and Imam Zainul Abidin was already there, a few women to go ahead and give the sermons, such as Bibi Zainab, Bibi Kulthum. You don't find that Farwa gave any sermons. You don't find that if Layla was there, she gave any sermons. You don't find if the other women, Fidda, for example, if she was there, she gave any sermons. You only find the sermon of Bibi Zainab, and you find the sermon of Bibi Kulthum. So Imam only needed a couple of women. Why did he bring all the rest of the women? So this could be a question that could be raised about it. Okay, number 3. Imam brought his family to expose the ugly face of Banu Umayyah, that they will not refrain from their evil agenda, even if they have to kill and harass kids belonging to the household of the Prophet. In this way, Yazid will be proven unqualified for Khilafat. So when a person can't show, remorse or can't show, any compassion towards the kids who are helpless, who don't have any weapons, when a person is, massacring them and is showing injustice to them, this will open up the eyes of the public, saying, look, this is Khalifatul Muslimin. He doesn't even show any remorse to the kids, the young kids who, of course, will not have anything to do as far as fighting back. So he should have shown some sort of justice to them. Number 4, some mention the reason Imam brought his family was to encourage others to join. So look, I'm leading from front. I'm not asking you to come with me until I bring my own family, right? Sometimes this happens. कोई कहेगा भाई आप खुद तो करके दिखाएं पहले फिर किसी को बोलिएगा. So okay, I'll start from my own. I'll bring my family. You go ahead and now come. So when people see that Imam is bringing his family that you protect at all cost, right? When there's danger ahead, do you send your family or do you go yourself? You go yourself, you keep the family behind. Imam, by showing that, look, I have complete trust in Allah, and this is something which is haq, I'm willing to trade everything, I'm willing to bring my family. Now it's your turn to go ahead and do the same thing. So people will sympathize by sending little kids and women. It will also melt the hearts of the enemies that they may show mercy. Ishkal. This answer is not entirely correct. Imam could have erected an army by inviting people. Easily could have Imam done that if he wanted. Sending representatives to different places. Secondly, he didn't want to put people in, majboor or coercion by force. Rather, if they wanted to help, they should voluntarily by choice. But this may be the best answer. The reason Imam brought his family is because of this. Why? He wanted to keep them close to himself. If they were left in Medina, they would have been thrown into prison much before Karbala takes place. Imam leaves when? Imam leaves towards the end of month of Rajab. He arrives in Makkah in Shaban. Rajab, Shaban, Ramzan, Shawwal, Dhiqad, Dhul Hijjah is when Imam Hajj starts, and then Imam starts moving. There are 5 months in between. Imam leaves behind his family, and after 4 months he is now forced to leave Makkah and go towards Kufa, for example. And that's when he received the letter from Muslim ibn Aqil that yes, it is safe to come. So within this time period, it is possible that the family of Imam would have been, captured way before Karbala and thrown into prison. Imam on the night of Ashur asked his companions to leave, but didn't give the same option to his family. So this is probably one of the best of the answers of the lot, that why Imam brought his family. That when you are going somewhere and you have a worry of your family, and then you learn that your family has been captured and they're now threatening to kill the family members. You haven't done something yet, although Imam's we're just speculating different variety of answers. Imam is Imam, he's Masoom, he has better knowledge of all of that. But we're speculating to answer people's questions that way before Karbala even takes place. Imam is now forced into withdraw maybe, because what? His family is already captured in Medina and they're now being persecuted. They are now being put into the worst of the situation. Imam would say, well, if that's happening, okay, I'll withdraw. Of course, this is us thinking in this direction. Imam Hussein, you could actually combine all of these reasons. It was the culture of the Arabs to bring their family. Imam wanted to awaken by bringing the children so that people will show sympathy. Imam wanted to bring the family so that they will keep Karbala alive even after his Shahada, that his Shahada does not bury the movement in Karbala, rather it moves to all corners of the world. Similarly, when Janab Zainab, when she returns back, when they go past through Karbala, what did she say? Oh my brother, I have sent your message, conveyed your message far and wide. Wherever I went, I conveyed your message. But yes, of course, I had to pay a hefty price for that. My chadar was snatched. I was beaten up. I was struck with taziana. All of these troubles I faced, but I made sure that your message gets across. Salawat Biji Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. So not that Imam was looking for any sort of reward out of this sacrifice, but Imam Hussein's sacrifice is also rewarded. Look at some of the effects of the sacrifice of Imam, and inshallah I'll conclude with this. Eating dirt or sand is haram in Islam. And no one has given fatwa that you can eat sand. Eating sand is haram and forbidden in Islam, except the turbat from the grave of Imam Hussein for cure as khak-e-shifa. That's the ta'thir of the khak of Sayyid al-Shuhada. While all the other khak and the sands are haram, this is the one which is permissible, and not only permissible, it is recommended as shifa for people. People argue that khak associated with Imam has such powers. What is the source of this? How do you go ahead and say, well, this khak has that power? Has anyone seen this? Well, of course, there might be events where people can narrate and quote, but those are really not facts. You say, well, who has gotten cured? Do you know a few people who have been cured because of this? Yeah, there are many examples that have been documented. Books have been written about it, but still someone might question about it. So if you study Quran, you'll see the following verse in Surah Taha, ayat number 96. قَالَ بَصُرْتُ بِمَا لَمْ يَبْصُرُوا. That he said, I saw what they did not see. I took a handful of dust from the messenger's trail and threw it, and that made that calf talk again. Surah Taha, verse number 96, go look at it. Samari is saying this, that when the trail of the messenger of Allah was going by, I picked up the sand from the bottom of the trail, not from the bottom of the feet of Nabi. The trail of Nabi just passed by, and that tabarrukan, I took that sand, I threw it onto the calf, and I was able to produce that miracle by which I was able to mislead all the Bani Israel into believing that this calf is something that they should be worshipping. So when khak, according to the ayat of Quran, Surah Taha 96, has such ability that if it is the khak from the beneath the trail of in Nabi's savari, just imagine if it's the khak which is mixed with the pure blood of Sayyid al-Shuhada, the effects that it will produce. So that's one answer for you. Dua answered inside the haram of Imam Hussein. Your dua might be answered anywhere, but there's a guarantee of the dua to be answered under the qubba of Imam Hussein. Number 3, it became mustahab to do the ziyarat of Imam Hussein and hold sawab for many other wajibat. How many times have you heard that the umrah and the hajj, the thawab of mustahab umrah and hajj, when you go ahead and do the ziyarat of Imam Hussein, especially at the time of Arafah or on Arba'in. Remember that riwayat of our 11th Imam, Imam Hasan Askari alayhi salatu wassalam, where he mentions Khisalul Mu'min Khams. One of those khisal is what? Ziyarat Arba'in of Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wassalam. In the books of jurisprudence under the section of ahkam of drinking water, it is mustahab to remember the thirst of Imam while drinking water. Remember the story of Mirza Taqi Khan, Amir Kabir, when he was killed in Kashan, he was hanged and 2 of his veins were cut. You know, Ayatollah Araki says, I saw him and I asked him, this maqam that you have in Barzakh, How did you attain this maqam? Is it because you fought against the deviated tribes and you got rid of them? He said, no. He said, is it because you stood up against injustice and tyranny? He said, no. He said, then how come you have such a maqam in barzakh? He said, this is the ata of my Mawla Hussein. He said, how? Explain. He said, when I was, hanged to death and they had cut my veins and I was bleeding to death, I was thirsty. And as soon as thirst came upon me, I almost asked people who were around me, can you give me some water? And even a dying animal, you provide water to them. They would have given me water if I had asked. He said, the moment I asked, I was thinking about asking this question, I realized and I said to myself, oh Mirza Taqi Khan, 2 wounds and you're bleeding and you're asking for water? While Hussein was bruised from top to bottom with so many wounds all over his body and he died in the state of thirst. He said, I regretted my decision. I never asked. I felt ashamed of asking. And moments later, I fell to the ground and I died. And at that moment, I saw Sayyid al-Shuhada. Sayyid al-Shuhada came and he said to me, oh Mirza Taqi Khan, you paid respect to our thirst. You did not quench your thirst remembering our thirst. And because of this, this is the maqam that we will give you in barzakh until we meet in Qayamat. Just imagine the maqam that you will attain over there. This is just by paying respects to the thirst of Sayyid al-Shuhada. So it became in the books of fiqh, ulama are sitting over here, that it is mustahab to remember the thirst. Salam bar Hussein, when you drink cold water. Imam himself requested that. Oh my Shia, whenever you come across and you are drinking water, remember my thirst. Salat is shortened for a traveler, but you have choice in the haram of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in Mecca, in Medina, in the haram of Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam, and of course in Masjid-e-Kufa as well. 4 places. While other places, you must shorten your salat, but these places, you have the choice. Why? Because in the haram of Imam Hussein, you're not a traveler, you're not a stranger, you're actually at home when you are in the haram of Imam Hussein. And lastly, 6th Imam said, kulluna or kulluhum sufunun najat, that all of them, all of the Imams are safinatun najat. Every one of us, you follow us, you will find the najat. But Safinatul Hussein aw asra, the Safina and the Ark of Hussein is the fastest of all of ours. He says, kulluhum babullah, all of us or all of them are the bab and the door to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Bas, babul Hussein awsa'a. But the door of Hussein is much wider than any of the Imams and their doors. So this is the reward that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave to the shahadat of Imam Hussein. Inshallah, I'll discuss more in the same reference in the weeks to come. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the tawfiq and ability that we live up to the demands and the expectations of Sayyid al-Shuhada, especially in these days that we are going through. Inna asal hadith wa ablagh al-mawidha kitabullah, a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, bismillahir rahmanir rahim, wal asr, innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa amilus salihat wa tawasaw bil haqqi wa tawasaw bis sabr. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي لا اله الا هو الحليم الكريم غافر الذنب وقابل التوب وهو الغفور الرحيم سبحان من سبقت رحمته غضبه وبسط يدين بالرحمه سبحان من لم يكلف نفسا الا دون وسعها وفان السيئات ولم يجاز بها سبحان من لا يزداد ولا ماس لعباد الا كرما وجودا ولا كثر الذنوب الا عفوا وصفا نشهد ان لا اله الا هو لطوف للعباد بجوده والعباد بالمذنبين والعباد والمذنبين بحلم ونشهد ان محمدا نبيه وحبيبه سيد المرسلين وشفيع المذنبين بعثه رحمة للعالمين. لقد أمركم الله في محكم كتابه بالصلاة على نبيه وحبيبه فقال تعليما لكم وتشريفا لصفيه إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيد المرسلين وشفيع المذنبين نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وعلى إمام المسلمين وقائد الغر المحجلين نبي المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب صلوات الله وسلامه عليه وعلى سيدة نساء العالمين وبذة خاتم النبيين سيدتنا فاطمة بنت رسول الله صلوات الله عليها وعلى الحسن المجتبى والحسين الشهيد بكربلاء وعلي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي عليهم الصلاة والسلام. اللهم صل على مولانا صاحب الزمان ماهيات البدع والطغيان هادم من الشرك والنفاق حاصل فروع البغي والشقاق صلوات الله وسلامه عليه وعلى آبائه الكرام اتصلت عليه والأيام. اللهم عجل فرجا وسهل مخرجا واكحل ناظرنا بنظرة منا إليه واجعلنا من المستشهدين بين يديه وتفضل على أمراء المؤمنين بمزيد التوفيقات والألو في الدرجات وازدياد الإقبال وألو في الدرجات. اللهم افعل بنا ما أنت أهله ولا تفعل بنا ما نحن أهله بجاه محمد وآله المعصومين صلوات الله عليهم أجمعين. ممن يذكر فتنفع ذكرنا يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن عليا ولي الله أشهد أن عليا حجة الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يسبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض الملك القدوس العزيز الحكيم. هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة وإن كانوا من قبل لفي ضلال مبين وآخرين منهم لما يلحقوا بهم وهو العزيز الحكيم. ذلك فضل الله يؤتيه من يشاء والله ذو الفضل العظيم. مثل الذين حملوا التوراة ثم لم يحملوها كمثل الحمار يحمل أسفارا بئس مثل القوم الذين كذبوا بآيات الله والله لا يهدي القوم الظالمين. قل يا أيها الذين هادوا إن زعمتم أنكم أولياء لله من دون الناس فتمنوا الموت إن كنتم صادقين ولا يتمنونه أبدا بما قدمت أيديهم والله عليم بالظالمين. قل إن الموت الذي تفرون منه فإنه ملاقيكم ثم تردون إلى عالم الغيب والشهادة فينبئكم بما كنتم تعملون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون. فإذا قضيت الصلاة فانتشروا في الأرض وابتغوا من فضل الله واذكروا الله كثيرا لعلكم تفلحون. وإذا رأوا تجارة أو لهوا انفضوا إليها وتركوك قائمة قل ما عند الله خير من اللهو ومن التجارة والله خير الرازقين. الله أكبر. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. وربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار بجاه محمد وآله الأطهار. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمد رب صل على محمد وآل محمد سمع الله لمن حمد الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده رب صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمد رب صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقعد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده رب صل على محمد وآل محمد سمع الله لمن حمد الله أكبر وربنا افرغ علينا الصبر وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين بجاه محمد وآله الطاهرين الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده رب صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده يا لطيف ارحم عبدك الضعيف الله أكبر الحمد لله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر
صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد تسبيح جناب فاطمة الزهراء سلام الله عليها. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم الرحمن الرحيم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه. All of us together. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم كن لوليك الحجة الابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك توعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. صل على
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Let's recite Surah Fatiha for the marhumin of today's sponsors for Jum'ah, as well as your own marhumin. Surah Fatiha. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. نعوذ وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Also, let's recite Dua Sahat 5 times for all of those people who are in need of dua, especially Qasim Abbas Rizvi, son of Dr. Rizvi, Dr. Ali Rizvi. Please remember him, especially in your dua. Bismillah, Hassan Heather, as well as Hassan Heather. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه يكشف 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 السوء ويجعلكم خلفاء الأرض أإله مع الله قليلا ما تذكرون. Allah. Inshallah, the silsila for the Majalis Aza will continue. I believe 2 more Majalis tonight, and inshallah, Majlis Soyam tomorrow. Timings will remain the same right after Namaz Maghriban. English speech in this hall by Hujjat Islam Sheikh Abdul Jalil Nawi Sahab, and inshallah Urdu Majlis in Hazrat Abu Talib Hall by Hujjat Islam Maulana Sayyid Nafis Haider Taqvi Sahab. Before I move forward with Salatul Asr, and there's a request by Maulana that he wanted to have a group photo with him and some of the community members after Namaz Asr. So if anyone is not in rush to go back, he would like to get a group photo done. And at this point, I would like to invite Dr. Hussam right here. Come on up. He wants to share some news, and inshallah we'll proceed with Salatul Asr.
Assalamu alaikum mu'mineen mu'minat. I asked before the Salah, I asked Maulana to take this opportunity to announce I'm leaving next week to going back to my country. Here is my country, my family is here, but I am done with the school and I am going back to Iraq. And even though I am living in South, but my dad, he just passed away 50 days ago. He built a Husseiniya in Karbala, and I invite everybody whenever he visits Karbala, I will more than happy to in charge for everything after the airplane. So after airplane, I will take care of that. And you can contact me. You can get my full information. I will miss you guys, and I want to take this opportunity to ask you to forgive me if I have done something wrong to you guys. Thank you so much. Shukran.
We wish all the best to Dr. Hussam, who, mashallah, stayed here with difficulties and everything, but completed his PhD, mashallah. He's a doctor now, and going back to, that is the right thing to do, in my opinion, although he might have a lot of opportunities here, but to go back to and serve your own country, I think that's a big spirit. And we've seen many just like him who came, studied, and then, mashallah, go back and serve their own country. So may Allah give you reward, and you're always going to be a family member here, wherever your travels take you. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن عليا ولي الله أشهد أن عليا حجة الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سمع الله لمن حمد الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده الله أكبر أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده الله أكبر بحول الله وقوته وقعد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الله أكبر اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد ربنا اغفر لي ولوالدي وللمؤمنين يوم يقوم الحساب اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سمع الله لمن حمد الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان ربي العلى وبحمده الله أكبر أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر الحمد لله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. حول الله وقوته يقوم ويقعد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سمع الله لمن حمد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. بعون الله وقوته أقوم وأقعد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. الحمد لله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر.
صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. تسبيح. الله الله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أستغفر الله الذي لا إله